second activity, the forgive me if I go to mine. It's the Sports Studies and Higher Education. The theme is an interdisciplinary approach. And it's a collaboration of the University of the West Indies and First Citizen. Why is such a conference such a special importance? So you will all have your thoughts, so you will hold it, and you'll make a contribution. Basically, how we're going to deal with this is that the panel will talk for about 5 minutes. Some may not exercise the option to talk for 5 minutes. Sitting guys are coming 2 and 3. What they will do is that they will introduce themselves a little bit, frame the reason why they have qualified themselves to sit on the head table. Pressure. And then we will take it from there, right? Feel free, all we ask is put up your hand. Remember, there is no right or wrong, it's a discussion, and we will keep it very interactive. Major Benjamin, forgive me, I don't put it on the spot. In terms of the interactive session, is somebody going to walk it up? Or do we need that? Or we will stand up? And very good, excellent. So, I am advised. Test. Anybody had any problems hearing me? No. So, then go back. Okay, I'm advised by a representative of, I don't want to put anybody on the spot again, I'm advised by a representative of the conference organizers that Christine Cummings will be joining us by Skype. So there, we just got a lot more complicated. So Skype, and we hope technology is going to work and not embarrass us. So I will invite a lady who most of you should know, but she will introduce herself. I know her very well for a lot of good reasons. Coming from Jamaica, and there is no need to go over the friendly rivalry between Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago in particular. And, but we have always overjoyed when the victories and the medals come, no offense to our friends from the wider world, but it then becomes the Caribbean against the rest. So it gives me great pleasure to invite Ms. Grace Jackson to say a little bit about herself, and then she will give you her 5 minutes. So, Grace.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Good morning, everyone. I trust everyone has slept well, and you have, after the 8 speeches yesterday, that you are very relaxed and ready to hear a lot more today and tomorrow. I'm Grace Jackson, silver medalist in the Olympics in the 200 meter for Jamaica in 1988. I was only second to Flo Jo for all the Americans that's here. That's really for you. I have been working at the University of the West Indies for the last 15 years in the area of, again for the Americans, what you'd call the athletic director. And I've now moved into a specialized area called the sports development director. That move really came about because of the initiatives that I did in bringing, giving the opportunity for the high performance training center athletes to train there, and eventually bringing them on the UWI campus, and also bringing the racers outfit, that's the club for Usain Bolt, to train there. So Usain actually has been training at the university since about 2006, maybe thereabout, from he was a youngster in the high performance training center, which gives me an opportunity to be able to market the facilities that we have And of course, my job is much harder now because I now have to build a stadium around the track that's there. So my involvement in the university in terms of moving sports from persons looking at UE as, oh, that's just an academic institution, to know where they say, but UE is serious about sports and the different elements of sports. And so that's where my out of competition background is. As an athlete, I spent a lot of time talking, networking, etc. while I was on the international scene. I was on the international scene for about 10 years, running in Europe. And I think I positioned myself to be able to understand some of the needs. And going back to Jamaica and working gave me a totally different perspective of how sport was. And I think I was part of what I would call the paradigm shift that is happening in the Caribbean, and in particularly in Jamaica, and the way we now look at sports, and really to look at where we are.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jackson. I was wondering, you know what I mean? So, we're talking, just a reminder, and let me welcome those who have just come in. This is the opening roundtable, and we're going to be talking a bit about sports studies, research, and higher education in the Caribbean. And yeah. So we'll take the question after. Take your notes. Relax. Yeah. Rudolph Allen. We'll now invite Rudolph Allen to say his due.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the conference. My name is Dr. Rudolph Allen. I am the academic program coordinator for KPhil in the Sports Sciences program. My track and field career is not as distinguished as my friend to the right. I probably stopped running when I left high school. But I had a passion for sports, and particularly sports psychology. And after high school, I worked as a physical education teacher and eventually went off to the US, where I studied at Temple University. See my colleague over there. And I spent about 14 years between the US and Bermuda. And then last year, I got an opportunity to go back to Barbados and spearhead the Masters in Sports Science program, which is a bit delayed, but we are starting on Monday. It's a double degree program being offered by KPhil and the University of New Brunswick, and we are excited to start this program on Monday. I think this is one way that KPhil is trying to propel sports in Barbados and the region and spearhead the sports science aspect. I think we're a bit lacking in that area, and KPhil is trying to propel that. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Allen. You realize he did not utilize his 5 minutes, so that puts the sure. Ms. Cabrales, you are up next.
Yes, I'm the third batswoman. Anyway, good day, everyone. My name is Sherlan Cabrales, and I'm a lecturer here at UE. Again, just going back into my sports, accolade, I used to be the captain of the national hockey team. I went to school at UMass. I did my undergrad at UMass, and I'm also a Temple alumni. I did my master's there, so we have a little connection. Anyway, let me see, what else? I've been in sports for quite a while, from being an athlete to administrator, being in the business world, and coming into the academic field. And what I bring to the table is a good bridge of the experience of being out there working in sport and seeing some of the challenges that we face, and knowing that we need an academic background to put it to the next level. And I think conferences like this is going to take us to that level. One of my, when I talk to my students, my mantra is that we need to get rid of some of the heads. It might be a little blunt, but I think that We need to give young people like yourself who are in the audience, who are going out there, doing the research, looking at sports at a different angle, to really take the leadership role and changing the face of sport. And that's basically my focus as a lecturer and as an administrator in sport in Trinidad.
Professor Blair, you are up next. But in
Thank you,
typical
Mr.
Brian Lewis
Moderator.
fashion, I feel I missed something, but I'll explain to you what I think I missed just now. But Professor Blair?
Well, from my vocabulary and speaking skills, you probably recognize that I am one of those mentioned from the United States. But it's interesting how many of my colleagues are also products of the United States. And it has been good through the many years that anybody who wanted to get an education or they were going to want some extra training, that they would have the opportunity to go there. But we live in a changing world, as you all know, and we have people that are traveling everywhere, and I'm sure that many people in our audience have traveled to many other countries. So, I marvel sometimes that when I meet with my students from Trinidad and Tobago, that they know more about the United States than any student in the United States would know about Trinidad and Tobago for the most part. My background, I studied for my PhD at the University of Minnesota, taught in several U.S. institutions, and had the opportunity, I was recruited in 2009 to come down here to work as the program professor in the Academy of Sport and Leisure Studies at UTT. And some of you probably have seen some of the publicity that this is the 10th anniversary of UTT. So the university is still very, very young. Our program, our department is only about 6 years old. But I've been very impressed in the time that I've been here. And as a matter of fact, Sherlyn forgot to say that she spent 4 years with me over at UTT, and we hated to see her go, but we are happy that she is moving in a career path that she feels is best for her. In terms of sport and higher education in the Caribbean, I'm going to have to plead ignorance on many, many things because, I've been to Jamaica. I've worked at G.C. Foster College for Sport and Physical Education, and then I have been here since January of 2010. But I know very little about the rest of the Caribbean, so I rely on other people to make points on that. In the time that I've been here at UTT, I have been very impressed in not only the progress of UTT, but in my colleagues involved in sport around Trinidad and Tobago. This conference by UE is notable. For us to get together to discuss this interdisciplinary approach to sport and higher education is tremendous. And we're going to see these conferences not only continue, but increase. UTT is in the process of planning a conference for later this year. And it's not going to be the same nature as this conference. We're probably going to pull in sessions that are activity-based to go along with some of the lecture conversations. But, we want to do things for our physical education teachers, and so that if we can do something, sessions on elementary physical education where people can glean some ideas from the presenters and from each other to take back into their schools and share with their children, it will be a fantastic thing. So we're still in the planning stages, and it's not been set yet, but we look forward to doing that. Some of the questions that were passed on to me were intriguing in terms of the current state of sports studies, research, and higher education in the Caribbean. And looking at where we've come from here in Trinidad in the past 5 years to get to this conference today, to look at the growth of our academic programs, to see the research that some of our students have done, has just been tremendous. Sometimes when we're in a certain position, we feel like it never changes. It's just the same old, same old. But as an outsider coming in here and seeing where we were, I think it's impacted me a little bit more than my colleagues. But when we take time to think about it, I think many people would agree with me. And we're going to have a recent PhD graduate in biomechanics from UTT that's going to present here on Friday morning, along with other people that are in his group, Dr. Miguel Jagasar. And he worked long and hard on his research, and we're very, very proud of him. Moderator in the next session, Mr. Alexander Smith, also completed his degree over at UTT working with me, and it was a pleasure, it was a joy to work with Alexander, and I know he would have liked to have gotten through faster than what he did, but sometimes the learning process takes that time, and to really appreciate it, it's just a really a good feeling when we do accomplish something like that. So these programs, the beginning of the sport program